democratization of content creation has flooded the whole market. I wouldn't say even market, the whole world,
right?
With the various ranges of content quality, right? And how does the the movie industry or the film industry maintain that quality, right? Because nowadays I feel like these indie movies that you could make with a much lower budget, do pretty well as much as a highly well-funded film as well, right?
Yep.
And the cost of production has gone down so much as well. I mean, maybe the group of us around here could just start a movie and try to do something, right? So while there's so much money still being thrown at this industry, I mean, like how do they like kind of make sure that they're making quality stuff? Because now like everybody's making films, right? Like even Netflix is making films.
Your Apple new streaming service,
exactly.
they're gonna
everybody, and there's so much money in this, right? And to grab people's attention and keep, cause now it's like all about binge watching, right? And it's not just about the movies. It's about like TV dramas, and things like Breaking Bad and Game of Thrones. All these were huge successes, and they went on for a very long time, right? And how do they kind of like be able to create that kind of thing over and over again?
So I think before we can even answer that, we've got to understand what the old models used to be, right? So previously the model used to be production, distribution, exhibition. And all of that was, so production was controlled by the major studios in Hollywood. Distribution was very often, they already had stakes in the Nickelodeons or the movie palaces. Yeah. Right? And then, so either they own them or they part own them or they start a strong arm tactic, you better start distributing my films. Yeah. And then exhibition, it's all sort of interlinked in that sense. Now, what happens is with the democratization, production no longer belongs to the studio. Distribution, anyone can just put their crap out online, or if you're smart enough, you can put it onto one of the streaming platforms and so on and so forth. And then, this whole 3-leg system doesn't really exist anymore. Yeah. I could be doing all three myself from my own bedroom if I really, really, really wanted to. Sure. That's the big picture. Now, within the studio system itself, what you're talking about is you've got your summer tentpole pictures, right? Which is your big special effects driven Independence Day, whatever it is. Doesn't win any awards, but it brings in lots of box office money. Yeah. That money is in turn used to fund your Oscar winning, your Golden Globe winning films at the end of the year, which win all the awards, which gain the studio credibility. Right. Like, look, I won an Oscar for XYZ film, so therefore, financiers, you need to back me so I can make my next big Star Wars Episode 27 or whatever it is. Right. So I can make my next whatever with Christian Bale or Tom Hardy or Daniel Day-Lewis or what have you. And so that cycle sort of repeats itself.
Oh, is that how it works?
And then what happens is then the studios go, oh shit, we can no longer do this because Apple TV has come in, Netflix has come in, your YouTubers have come in, YouTube Premium, is it YouTube Red or whatever it's called now, have come into play. Sure. And then they go, okay, quite clearly we have people who are happy to stay at home and binge watch. They don't really necessarily want the cinematic experience. That's one. Two is they're concerned that the cinematic experience that you're getting at home is something that you can actually replicate, if not do better, with the advent of this new TV technology where you got like the TVs that are like slightly bendy and then immersive and then the 3D AR, blah, 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 glasses.
Home theater systems.
Correct. So then cinemas are thinking to themselves and the studios are thinking to themselves, how on earth are we going to compete with these guys? So then what we're seeing is we have, in the last year or two, we're seeing a lot of either your big production houses or even some directors saying, stuff that goes on Netflix, stuff that goes into streaming that's meant for TV and social media viewing, that's not real cinema.
Right.
Which is, obviously now you've got other people who are saying, no, we're creating content. Content is content. Yeah. Just because it's not meant for the cinema doesn't mean it's good content.
Right.
And then you've got your award-winning bodies like your Oscars, your Golden Globes, your traditional sort of brokers of you have talent, you don't because you won an award and you didn't. Yeah. Now they're saying we have very hard and fast rules. If you want to qualify for an award, your film has to be screened. So then the guys who are going, I don't want to be part of the studio system. I just want to go be part of the streamings. Now go, oh crap, how do we circumvent this? I know what we'll do. We'll do a limited release just enough in the cinemas for the minimum amount of time. As soon as we've qualified for that, then we take it away from the cinemas and then we put it on the streaming services.
Right.
So like a big case in point is Scorsese's new film with Pacino and De Niro called The Irishman. It's going to be in the cinema for 2-3 weeks max, something like that. Then they pull it away, and that's just enough time to be considered for an award.
Right.
And then after that, they have it distributed on Netflix because Netflix is the one that produced the film.
Right.
So they're finding sort of clever ways to circumvent and navigate this new sort of these new OB markers that have been laid out for your content creators and your streaming services. Now that that's there, cinemas and your production houses are thinking, okay, so what are the ways in which we can still draw people to the cinema? And so you have people like Ang Lee who are trying to sort of pave the way. He just did a film with Will Smith called Gemini Man, which honestly was a piece of shit film.
Really?
But it was the first film where... do you know the basic premise of Gemini Man?
No.
He
wait, yeah. I heard Will Smith talking about it because he was promoting it on some TV channels. I forgot what it was, but it's like he's a hitman, and then his like younger hitman comes over to kill him. Right?
Correct. So it's Will Smith versus Will Smith, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if enough people know about this, but the younger version of Will Smith that's in the film is actually 100% digital.
Right.
So it wasn't some dude who was wearing like a green screen, whatever freaking outfit. It was a pastiche of old Will Smith performances from Fresh Prince, from Bad Boys, from Independence Day. They managed to sort of almost, like the deep fake sort of technology, use and pastiche that with a digital human.
So he didn't do any acting of any kind?
For the young version? None.
Really?
None.
Huh? Because on that program that I saw him talking to, I think it was Trevor Noah.
Okay.
It was like on a Daily Show. And he was saying that he had to kind of like try to rediscover how he was before to act that younger role.
To the best of my knowledge, I'm pretty sure like he had no say. So I think I saw the same clip. And what happened is on the very first day of him meeting Ang Lee, he goes into the war room, as he calls it.
Right.
And Ang Lee has got like 12 different screens, one showing Bad Boys, one showing Independence Day, one showing whatever it is, Wild Wild West. And he's like this close to the TV, and he's like he's talking to Will Smith. He's not really talking to Will Smith. He's like, you see the way that your mouth sort of turns that way? Yes, that's good. We're gonna keep this. We're gonna put this into the new Will Smith. You see, and then the way your eyebrow rises in that one. Yeah. We're gonna take that and we're gonna put that into the. And he's like, the fuck are you talking about, man? Like, what are you smoking here? And to as far as I understand it, he did not at all participate in the making of young Will Smith, other than perhaps he gave some input as to how he might behave back in the day. But it was all him playing him in his current day versus essentially this green screen version of him, or this digital version of him. And that is one of the many ways that your studios and your production houses are trying to do things differently, where I'm told, because I didn't see it in 3D, I saw it in 2D, and that was 2 hours of my life I'll never get back. But I'm told watching it in 3D, it is one of the most immersive films that has ever been done within 3D.
Right.
Also, he did a film I think 2 years ago, and I forget the name now, where it shot on a very, very, very high frame rate, where home TVs are, as far as I understand, not ready yet to handle that sort of capability of such a high frame rate, where it looks so lifelike, it looks almost fake.
Right, okay.
And again, it hasn't really found a niche audience yet.
Yeah.
But he's sort of trying these things because he truly believes in the cinematic experience of an audience gathering in the dark, to have the lights go down, to see this big sort of 60-foot sort of thing experience happening. And I do think there's a certain magic that happens in cinema that watching at home and watching via your device has yet to replicate. So I think cinemas still have that advantage, but until and unless we find a way, or they find a way to make sure that your home audience, who is now fed a constant diet of entertainment options at home and online, unless they find a way to beat that, I think in due time they're gonna find their movie houses are gonna have diminished audiences. I was reading a book recently, and I forget the name of it. And one of the ways in which they're trying to make the cinematic experience more immersive, right, is they're trying to find a way to create neural feedbacks for the audience to match whatever the character on screen is going through. So imagine, if you will, almost like a Clockwork Orange type of setup, where if it's a horror film and whatever, Nev Campbell's running from the guy with the knife, the audience members are hooked up to neurotransmitters. So if she's feeling fear, enough simulators or stimulators go off in your own body, where that same flight or flight response that she has is also triggered in you. So then it feels even more like wow. Which
that's pretty fucking awesome, though.
It's awesome, but it's also, can you imagine? Okay,
but horror movies, I'll probably like fucking shit my pants. Right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what would happen. Right?
No, but now imagine this, right? If a movie like Scream 7, whatever is on, and they have these neurotransmitters, if you happen to sneak into this theater and you stand near the front of the audience and you see everyone like in Clockwork Orange just hooked up to different wires going. That would be horrific and so horrendous on so many levels. But I mean, I would not be surprised if we go that way, where we want more immersive experiences. We want to feel like we have the illusion of more control over our entertainment options. And it's scary because careful what you wish for, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Future Design Podcast.